Mark, and you know me perhaps as the gruff, opinionated, foul-mouthed character I play on such shows as the internet. What a crazy couple of acts to follow, because both of those people are close friends of mine, are colleagues of mine with the Foodists project that some of you may know about. And Anthony's, I've heard Anthony's story before, and it was hard for me not to cry listening to it, and it's going to make it very difficult for me to tell you the story that I want to tell you, because this is actually a very sad personal story with a wonderful edge, and it's about my grandmother. The last thing I said to my grandmother very recently was, "I love you, goodbye, I'll see you soon." And a few weeks later, got a phone call that she had expired quite suddenly with an embolism. They found her on the stairs and she was gone. And we don't all get a chance to say "I love you" to our grandmother before she disappears. I did get a chance to talk to my other grandmother, that was my last grandparent, to leave before she expired, but she had faded away with dementia and Alzheimer's, so that wasn't the same. There are some images that can start anytime if tech can go ahead and start. Am I in the way? No? So these images are from a story that I told online. Some of you may have followed that story along. I'm not going to post all the tweets and all of the stuff that went with these. I'm just going to tell you what I did. We now own a house in Gretna, Manitoba, where I'm from. In Gretna and Winkler and Altona, these towns in Carmen, where I am originally from, is what made me who I am today. And I think my tie-in to the theme today is that it wasn't until going back this year, literally a couple weeks ago, that I started to really think about my connection to my past and my connection to my family, and how all of the pieces of our lives are like recipes for who we are and where we're going. We had to go back, and I went with my father, who is an only child and is undergoing hip surgery soon, so he's almost an invalid, which is very unusual to see your father in that condition. And we had to go through her house. Now, this is the house he grew up in. This is the house that my grandfather died in. This is the house that my grandmother lived in for 61 years. And it was a very strange experience. We would get up in the morning and we would pick a room and we'd say, okay, let's start going through that room. And it was a little bit like being a detective. And it was very strange to realize that she had kept every letter I'd ever sent her, that anyone had ever sent her. She had kept every birthday card, every Christmas card, everything she'd ever been given was in that house, organized, cataloged, boxed, stored. Cherished recipes of her entire 90 years on this planet. It was, I don't know what's going on behind me. That's not the story I'm telling you right now, but part of the story was that there was a lot of joy and there was a lot of laughter. My dad said to me in the middle of the experience, "Mark, we don't live in the past. This is going to be an overwhelming experience, and we have 1 week to get this done, to empty this house and sell it. So let's open everything, read it quickly, share the story and the memory, and dispose of it." And are you hearing what I'm saying? 61 years of our family's history, and my dad is saying, let's move on. There is way too much stuff here. If it's really a treasure, let's keep it. If it's a family photo, fine. Let's move on. So I immediately started storytelling to my friends and to my wife and to our family back home who couldn't join us by snapping a photo, posting something on social networks. I used Instagram and spread it to my various channels, and started getting this feedback from people going, "Oh my God, don't stop. Oh my God, I'm thinking about my grandmother. Oh my God, please keep going. This is an amazing way of using this media to create an arc, to create a storytelling." And what they weren't really also kind of realizing was that for me, it was cathartic. It was a process, and it was a way for me to look back at the recipe of my own life. And another thing that I thought of during this experience that I'll share, besides the fact that it was really quirky to go back to southern Manitoba and realize how very different I am from German Canadians who don't even speak English in McDonald's. Like, really? We're still speaking Low German? Really? Oh, okay. It's just, anyway, was that there's this ironic and sad an incredibly wonderful thing that occurred that I hope some of you get to experience in your life, and that was that only through my grandmother's death did I, and this process with my father, did I reconnect with my dad in a real way, and finally understand and know my grandmother as an adult, as a woman. I saw the love letters from my grandfather from the 30s, and then the letters he sent home from World War II. Can you imagine a German Canadian fighting Germans? That was an interesting thing for our family. And these letters were very tense and filled with angst, to use a German word there for you. So anyway, a couple of things occurred. I found it was like a treasure trove. There were these little things that we found, like a bottle of 1963 whiskey, Canadian whiskey, unopened in clearly a gift box that had been cherished, put on a shelf between books, and forgotten for decades, and never ever opened. Photographs from my great-grandparents that were just, they're treasures for us. One particular thing that was moving for me was, on the first day we arrived, I went upstairs to the bathroom. This bathroom that you've seen probably by now a number of photographs of, and probably me naked, that was my junk in that photo, in a bathtub that I will never forget, that I even joke around with my wife sometimes, and I say, "Grandma, dry my hair." Just got a little too aggressive with my hair. That bathroom is crystallized as part of the recipe of my life. And I went into that bathroom and I was peeing. And I looked at the toilet and I thought, now this is really strange. There's it's all dirty, and of course she had died, weeks before, and so nobody had cleaned the toilet, and there was blue stain all around the top. It was really strange, and I thought, I'm gonna clean the toilet. Where's the brush? Oh, that's weird. Okay, it's right here. Now, what I need is, where's the cleaning stuff? Oh, it was right there, on a folded piece of paper towel, and it was that blue under the rim stuff. And in that moment, I realized the very last thing, her shoe was sitting there beside me. The very last thing that my grandmother did was clean the toilet, or was about to, probably stood up going, something's not right, walked down the stairs and left us. And that was really powerful. As I was going through the house, my realization, the story I've always told, and many of my friends who are foodists in the room have always heard me say, my dad is why I'm a foodist. My dad is the guy that taught me to cook. My dad's the guy that inspired me that food is cool and guys can be cooks. Actually, it occurred to me it was my grandmother. It was her kitchen, it was her tools, it was her passion for cooking. And one of the things that was really sad as well for me in this sort of unraveling of my own life was that we found her kitchen filled with processed instant crap. And I'm not sure if any of those images have shown, but there was crackers and Velveeta and all this junk that I remember a little bit as a child, but the passion faded as there was no one to cook for anymore. And I love, love, love cooking for people. It's so much fun. It's a problem for me because if my wife is cooking, I'm like, can I stir? I can't even stay out of the damn thing. And it realizes that we all have to be aware of that this is part of how we make memories, this is how we bond, this is how we communicate, this is how we show love. And if we end up alone, we may revert to this type of very sad and unhealthy behavior as well. I'll end on one particular thing, and then that's my grandmother. I'm silly. Anybody who's seen what I post online knows I'm silly. I would send my grandmother those birthday cards that would give beep-a-dee-dee, beep-a-dee-doo-dee. You know the ones? There were so many cards, and I had to take load after load after load of garbage to the dump. And it was so hard for me because I'd be dumping all this stuff into the recycling. And I knew that there were letters that I wrote. I read them, I photographed them. My dad's like, and away they go, into the garbage. And at this one particular time, I went by myself. My dad's hip was too bad, and I went and I unloaded the truck, and I dumped it all. And I heard this bird or this sound, beep. Like, what is that? Beep, beep, beep. Strange thing. And I'm all alone in the prairies. You guys know the prairies. It's very just. And I hear. I'm like, this is the saddest motherfucking thing I have ever seen. Really? Is this like, Grandma, is this you? Is this a ghost thing? You're like, one last hurrah, hey, Busse. Anyway, that's my story. Never been over. Thanks for your